This is basically the perfect conference for people from DOE's Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy Office, because we really do work on everything we do is clean energy. So, okay, let me just get this. There we go. I'm going to start out by just providing some context about why we're involved. It's a relatively new thing. And what our contribution is, what our strategic directions are, and then give you some samples. A lot of you are familiar with either Benjamin Goldstein or Jen Summers or Josh Olson or Chris Nichols. These guys are fantastic, and they work in our program offices. I'm kind of looking more cross-cutting, a higher level, but we work very closely with our program colleagues, and so I'll be giving you kind of more of a strategic direction. So, as we all know, our current U.S. energy system needs to, become cleaner and more sustainable. It's currently pretty carbon intensive. It's very dependent, fairly dependent on, especially for oil, on imports, although that's changing according to new reports. Obviously, we have some electricity delivery vulnerabilities, as we saw with Sandy, and it's pretty wasteful. And so we're hoping to move much more to a carbon neutral system, one that has a lot of diverse, homegrown energy, a lot of jobs, and it's affordable, sustainable, and much cleaner and more efficient. So this is our office. Just to give, for those of you who don't know, we really do work on energy efficiency and renewable energy. And we're the only office in DOE that really spans the entire energy system. So from the supply side, which is how we tend to look supply-demand, from the supply side, we're really, very renewable focused. Although we do work, closely with the fossil and nuclear and others in DOE. But then we also look at the demand sectors, and so for transportation, we have a biomass office, hydrogen and fuel cells, and vehicles. We work on a lot of R&D in those areas. And then the other demand sectors are our buildings sector and our weatherization program, which is part of part of the building sector, and advanced manufacturing, which is really the industrial sector. And then we also consider the government sector. So we have a federal energy management program. Because the government, is the largest energy user in the United States, we need to clean them up. So some more context. I know you all know that for our firms, we're finding that there is a mismatch between available workers and the skills that they have, and that it's only going to be exacerbated by impending retirements. So the President's Job Council came out, and I think this is really a valid point, and one that I've heard this morning, which is the lack of alignment between what employers need today and what skills are taught and delivered is becoming a critical problem for business and the nation. And so we take that pretty seriously. And our education system is doing a good job, but not a great job. So for us, the top job categories that are lacking for energy efficiency and renewable energy is the reason why we're working in this area. So this is the innovation pipeline. So DOE kind of spans the whole thing, from basic science all the way out to large deployment. If you can see the Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy, we tend to come from the RD, D, and D space, which is the research, development, demonstration, and deployment. In our view, workforce is really kind of more in the commercialization space, which is why it's fairly new at a higher level. So in around 2008, this was the types of activities we were involved in. It was a smattering of excellent programs. I mean, weatherization was in there. I know some of you have got to be familiar with the Solar Decathlon and other programs, which were great, but there wasn't really any strategic, overarching focus. So we've tried to remedy that. So our strategic goals are really around training and education. So in training, we're trying to support the rapid scale-up of deployed EERE technologies as we transition to a clean energy economy. A lot of what goes on is really in our program offices with Benjamin and Jen and Chris and Josh. But then there's also some more foundational things that I'll speak about in a moment. And this is supported by our strategic plan at DOE, as well as the President's Child Council, the President's State of the Union address, and others. On the education side, we're really working to improve the energy literacy of all Americans, what we call K to Gray, so that they're capable of making smart energy choices. And this also includes, really thinking about our K to Gray kids, hoping that not only are they going to be the change agents for the future, but that they're going to, go into our clean energy career paths. So we see workforce development as a risk mitigation strategy. If we don't have a skilled workforce, we're just not going to be successfully deploying our technologies. Oops. Okay. There we go. So these are the types of areas that we're working in now. I know you can't see this, and hopefully the slides will be available. Some of these are going to be in talks later today and tomorrow. In black are our program efforts, so the 10 program areas. In red are kind of more the cross-cutting, foundational things that activities that I work on. So I'm going to talk about a few of those now. So some of you may be familiar with the National Training and Education Resource, because I know some of you have met Michelle Fox, who's amazing, and she's been talking about this widely internationally. But what we've learned is from the learning science, we've learned that the more interactive you can be with a learner, the much higher retention rates they're going to meet. So what we've worked on is creating Enter, which I'm going to show you in a minute, to be really highly interactive, to allow inquiry-based learning, to use an endlessly patient medium, which is, a computer, especially for those people who may have fallen through the wayside before, don't have the math skills. We're hoping that, through using a computer, having access to expertise and feedback, that they can kind of skill up, and then go on to learn really, really technical fields. So we're using learning science and information technology to support a well-educated talent pool. We've developed easy-to-use tools so that anybody can create content, which is really engaging and interactive. But we'll also support existing projects. So if there's a PowerPoint or a video, that can be used too. And the key is using the flexibility of open source licensing to grow and develop the platform and the tools. Okay, here we go. So there's different ways. So basically what this slide's going to show you is that you can have a single sign-on. Either you can come through the Department of Energy, or you can come through any other node, which can be customizable by the user. So if you're, the UMass Dartmouth, you can either decide to go in through DOE's portal, or you can just have your own. But the point is that it allows a very distributed search. So you could go to one place and look, put in that you want wind technician training, and you can get access to a wide variety of training so that you don't have to go to different sites. And it offers different modules and different exportables like blogs and press room and image galleries. It's kind of like everything is going to be in one place, and that's kind of the vision of Enter. So we're trading, the standard old-fashioned multiple choice for much more meaningful for performance-based assessment using really 3D interactive, hopefully very engaging content. So this is kind of the way it looks for some of the weatherization modules that Jen and Josh have supported. There's 3D simulations without the need to be a complete computer expert. You can go in and there's tools to help with programming. And it runs in browser, so there's no need for heavy downloads. So, so that you can learn from the real experts on this, we're going to have a webinar on the National Training and Education Resource, and we're hoping, anybody who wants can join. I know that this is kind of a cumbersome sign up here, but I'm sure these slides will be available. And at the end of this presentation, we have our general website, and there's a place you can go there to sign up to. So moving on, I want to move on to another foundational activity that we're working on is energy literacy. And this just came out in March, and it was the culmination of a pretty intense period that followed some other, well-known literacy frameworks for oceans and climate. And it was improved by 13 federal agencies. And the whole point of it is to create an interdisciplinary effort to say what it means to be energy literate. So there are 7 essential principles, and each one is backed up by 6 to 8 fundamental concepts. And it's a fabulous thing because let's say it involves the natural sciences, so biology and physics and chemistry is involved, as well as energy and engineering and technology in terms of learning, what the different energy sources are, and then also looks at the social sciences, so, what kind of economics do you need, how is decision-making done, and that kind of thing. We are hoping that it gets picked up in the K-12 next generation science standards that are being done right now. And we're working with some education partners to develop videos for it and an iBook and some energy primers. And so hopefully instructors or even students eventually will be able to pick and choose which things they want to learn more about, which videos they want to look at to really help build our energy literacy. Follow on to this is an application of the energy literacy is an Energy 101. And this is when we are currently creating a nationally recognized interdisciplinary general education course at the community college and university level. And we're working with APLU and the American Association of Community Colleges and others to develop kind of a model program. And we're using Enter as a way for anybody to go on and get curricula or get content. We're going to host a competition where we're going to have the creation of videos, and it's going to be very modular. So if you're in an area of the country where you really want to know, a cross-section of energy, but you really are just interested in bioenergy, you can customize it that way. Excuse me. Okay. And then I know there's a big board outside that has this, but this is a fantastic example of a career lattice or a career visualization tool that I know Jane was involved in, and Chris Nichols and Sarah White. And it really is a great way to show a potential employee what different jobs are out there, how they connect to other jobs, what kind of training and credentialing you need. And it kind of helps somebody either within the solar industry, for example, or outside of it, kind of enter the field. And I know that there's, I think that there's a panel this afternoon on career lattices, and it's just a great thing. And we're hoping to do some more and DOE supported technology areas. But I wanted to bring your attention to that. This is something that we've just recently worked on with the Department of Labor, who launched this about a month ago. And I know Jane, again, was involved in this. And we provided a lot of the technical subject matter experts to create a renewable energy competency model to complement the other competency models that are on the labor site. There was one for utilities, and this is really a competency model that really speaks to the skills that anybody working in the renewable energy world, electricity world would need. This doesn't really apply to the transportation side. So I hope that you all can look at it. What we're hoping is that the renewable energy industries or companies will take it and kind of expand it for the top tiers beyond the ones that we worked on. So just as kind of a summary, this is, we work in a lot of areas. I just spoke about a few, and they really do span K-12 up and through graduate school. And again, we use a lot of partnerships, and we think it's incredibly important to collaborate. As we all know that none of us can do it by ourselves. And we're working both within the federal government and internationally. We have our Australian friend here. So I'm very happy that we're all here and that we're able to learn from each other. And I just had to share this. This just came out last week. This is just showing that renewables have made it to the Paris runway. I don't know if you can see. Solar panels on the back and wind turbines. So this is some contact information for me. I also put on the Office of Science has a pretty nice website, as does the Office of Electricity, where I know some of you have gotten smart grid grants, so I thought you would want to see this website too. Okay, thank you.